Alright, hey folks, I am back with another video. I happen to be over the road, as you can see from the goofy vests. Thought I'd keep on just for effect here. Parked at the drop lot in Pensacola, Florida. Parked for the night, had plenty of time in the evening this day, and I thought, you know what? I've got to see Smile so that I can do my review of it. And so I have just watched Smile, the 2022 horror film, written and directed by Parker Finn. And I'm going to try and, I know my reviews are running so long because when I see a movie, and I love movies, but I don't watch very many of them these days, these years. I really like to appreciate a film, and I appreciate the movies that I watch, even if I don't like them after the fact. I at least tell you, wish I hadn't watched that one, but I like to just soak it in, you know. I love just the immersion, and that's one of the reasons why I generally stay away from horror. God, I'm getting kind of into this. Let me start over. Greetings, folks. It is, what is today? It's 12th of December. This is for the journal aspect of David Views Movie Journals. It is 7:34 p.m. as I'm making this review on December 12th, 2024. I gotta say that because that's how I know exactly when, because I might not upload this video soon, or maybe I will. You never know. So, right on target there. Let's get into this. I saw Smile 2 at the theater last Saturday night at the Grand in Hattiesburg, Mississippi, and I'm of mixed mind about these two films because I wish I had seen Smile in the theater. I saw that neat little, for a horror film, all they had was kind of the Smile in the trailer that I saw way back when, a couple years ago, in the movie theater. Before what movie, I forget what, but they didn't really get into this movie at all. It was just a quick, it was a short trailer basically, and I thought, what was that? That was a horror film or some mind movie, at least. That's all I thought, and I didn't think much of it after. And really, I had forgotten to even check it out because, like I said, I don't just go for horror a lot of the times, but there was just something about this movie that that interested me, and it's all because of, and I regret that I didn't write this down, and I can't get on my phone and look at it right now, and I don't have my internet. Turn on the laptop hotspot because that would drain more internet, and I needed all focus on the recording camera. And anyways, I'm blaming him. It's all your fault, whoever you are, this YouTuber who I'm so sorry I didn't write his name down, but I didn't realize it was a whole series, The Brutality of series. 2 years ago, he had this video, watched it on YouTube, and it had the thumbnail. And the thumbnail was the horrible, gory reveal of the Smile entity, the demon inside of the mind of the character Rose. That horrible thing when it rips the face off, removes the fake face, or however you want to consider it, and you can see what's really the entity. That was in his thumbnail. I'm like, oh, I saw that. I'm like, oh, Smile. He's going to be talking about that movie that I was kind of interested in but never saw. I watched this video and I was like, man, I wish I had caught that in the movie theater. And I never say that about horror. I've watched Smile in the semi-tractor sleeper berth here on my job. Hopefully I'll be home tomorrow evening. I live a couple hours from here, South Mississippi, but I was like, man, because I enjoyed Smile 2. It's a guilty pleasure because I can't say it enough. I don't generally go for horror because of the negativity of 2 straight hours of being on edge. Because, like I tell you, I get into a movie, and if I get into something like a horror film, it's like I'm thinking, seriously, I might have to watch Sonic the Hedgehog 2 tonight while I still have plenty of time this evening. just to cleanse the palate. And I haven't seen that yet, and that'll get me ready to watch Sonic 3 next week when it comes out. Looking forward to that one. So who knows, maybe I'll do that tonight, or maybe I'll just finally be able to vent and get all of the smile stuff out of my system. I got 25 minutes. I'm going to try and keep this because I think my phone is going to stop recording at a certain time. I got to keep an eye on that because it just gets tired. It'll record more, but I got to start it over. I don't want to make two parts. Whatever. Here goes. I enjoyed this film. It's a horror movie, and unfortunately, I'm going to be comparing it to Smile 2 for the rest of this because I just can't help it. I'll try not to do that, but invariably it's going to come back, and I'm going to be comparing these two films for the next 25 minutes. I'm going to try and keep this under. Okay, give me more. 35 minutes, because I know how long I go in these reviews. An hour and a half or whatever it was I talked about Smile 2, for crying out loud. And it's because of the lack of resolution the lack of closure I had on that movie, but it is what it is. They leave you hanging deliberately. Anyways, Rose is a very different person, for instance, than Sky was in the second film. This film is more personable. It took a while it took a little bit longer to get going from what I was used to from Smile 2, because Smile 2 that I saw Saturday, I'm like, this is nonstop mind blow and the jump scares, because like I said, a couple of them got me because I really get into the moment. That was Smile 2. Tonight, I'm like, I'm just so over it. I just want to get this movie watched, and so I'm kind of cheating Smile, the first movie, because I didn't really inundate myself with the full sound and the dark. I didn't have it dark in here for the whole time, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna use the restroom. I didn't even pause it. I'm like, I think a tense moment is coming up, and I've done it. I've worked all day. I'm not abusing myself with this horror movie. I'm not gonna risk having bad dreams tonight. So I just kind of skipped over it. I didn't skip over it, but I'm like, there's another dark hallway, and it's got to be dark in this woman's house. Why is it always dark and poorly lit in these people's houses and apartments in these horror movies? It's annoying. Anyways, it was more of a slow burn, and as Rose finds out what's going on, she learns so much more than Sky did. Again, coming from two different places in life, one's a pop singer and one's an actual psychologist, trying to help people, as you said, 80 hours a week working at a mental clinic or whatever that hospital was. And yeah, I like that contrast, the difference between her in this film and Sky in Smile 2. And I know there I go again, comparing these two movies. I don't really want to do that, but I can't help it. Not really, fully. Starts out with Caitlin Stasey, played by Laura Weaver. She, of course, is the star of the little featurette, the short film, I almost said Laura Can't Sleep. It's Laura Hasn't Slept, I think that's the name of it. And it's neat that she stars in this, and I want to give this to her. Her creepy smile, her fully taken over, possessed smile face is the creepiest, in my opinion, of any of the people who end up doing the smile in these movies. Caitlin Stasey, just in my opinion, and she's, I think she had the creepiest one. I think she did that the best, and it's fitting, because this stuff largely began with her contributions in that short film. Boy, oh boy. Kal Penn plays Dr. Morgan Desai. I can't, it's like I'll just say Dr. Morgan. I recognized him, not that I saw those movies, but what was that stuff he was back in those days? I click on it, it's not going to work because I don't have my internet. Anyway, I recognized him. It's neat seeing him in this as he's like the head of staff. He's her boss, the director of the hospital, and responsible for keeping everybody on task and the hospital running. He is so level-headed, and he just wants the best for her. You've been working 80 hours a week. You're stressed out. I think you just need to take some time for yourself. He makes Rose take a 1 week long sabbatical or whatever, little hiatus, uh, when she starts to exhibit the same things, the same symptoms of post-trauma, whatever, that Laura did. And I'll tell you what, it's watching these two movies out of sequence, seeing Smile 2 and then this, it really is something to go back and like, so Laura, Caitlin Stasey playing Laura, was the first one to do the. I was getting kind of emotional. I kid you not. Don't think me a weirdo or silly or something. But being the first person that we see in this cinematic universe of the Smile franchise to do that, and the way she starts to cry, nobody believes her. Nobody understands what's going on, and what she knows at this point is going to happen to her. When she says, "I'm going to die," and nobody knows and nobody cares, I think she said, I was like, that's so hard. That's brutal. That's so brutal. The brutality of the entity in this thing. You think about Freddy Krueger and there's all these slasher movies and stuff. Some of it, it's all in levels, right? Some of it's almost campy, fun. There's something about some of the demon tales, like this thing, for instance, where it humiliates you and makes everybody. It turns your life literally inside out, inverts the victim, its host, before death, and it's one of the most evil, brutal tales that I guess I've ever seen. Again, I haven't watched a lot of horror movies, so there is that. But it's also the reason that this had to do with mental problems and the things that people are seeing that only they can see. Like, for instance, this doctor works in a mental hospital. The absolute perfect, perfect setting to begin this story, is it not? And there's all the creepy vibes of it as she finds out that this is a chain of suicides with each one. It was so creeped out. And again, I'm comparing it to the second one because I can't help it, because I just saw it just the other day. It's still fresh on my mind. Whereas Smile 2 just jumps right into it, and there's no really explaining a whole lot, or really the star of that, Sky, being able to learn things and research things and play detective work the way Rose did as a doctor, Dr. Rose Cotter in Smile 1, just jarringly different. She's like Batman getting with her former, Rose is getting with her former boyfriend who cared enough to stop by the hospital and see about her after she witnessed that suicide. That whole thing, oh man. These movies will traumatize you, they really will. The way it was all over after a certain point, when it's like she does the thing and in her mind the thing literally goes into her throat and all that, like, oh, that thing, and then all the quiet while Rose was calling for help, and then she looks behind her and she's got the smile on. Oh man, and it's just like, it's crazy. This movie is crazy. But again, for like the full effect of it, I wish I had seen this in the movie theater. For instance, there's a short on YouTube with some guys hanging back after they watched the movie, and then the crazy good music, the horror music of the wailing demon or whatever it is, like the heart pounding stuff mixes in with the other synth wave whatnot, and this was after the Lollipop song or whatever. Okay, gotta go. They're just joking around when that stuff that can't hang with listen to that kind of stuff. They go out of the theater. Then it's a funny short on YouTube. It would have been neat to be there with those guys after watching this crazy movie. at the theater, but I missed out on it. And again, I'm just rambling through this to get everything out of my system as possible because I'm definitely going to be done with Smile after this. I don't have any hope for the third movie, and I'll share that before this is all over with. But what more can I say? It's a slow burn movie, at least what I call it. As she, as a doctor, is turned inside out. Rose is turned inside out as someone who helps people with their mental problems, with demons or whatever people see in their minds, and she has to calm them and everything and work with people's trauma and their psychological issues. And now she has something that can't be explained. And it really gets at you the way at the beginning she had to calm this one patient, Carl Rankin, the guy who's always muttering, I'm gonna die, Mom's gonna die, everybody dies. Played by Jack Socket. And she says, I know it seems real, but it can't hurt you. And I'm just thinking, ooh, that's definitely going to come back to bite later on in this movie. You just know it. That's all this movie's going to be. Let me talk about Joel a little bit since I see his photo along with all the cast. I'm looking on IMDb right now, by the way, just so you know what I keep glancing up at. Joel, played by Kyle Gallner. The way he plays out of the picture on Smile 2 at the very beginning, I gotta say that was just an absolutely insane opening of Smile 2. And props to all of the people who managed to do so much of that in one take before the guy jumps out of the window. But I was just thinking, he's a significant guy in this movie, Smile 1, that I just watched, and yet he just plays out of the film in true horror movie fashion. Okay, you start off Smile 2 with like, okay, nobody knows what's going on. There's now a new infected person, the young drug dealer guy, I can't remember his name right now, who committed suicide in front of Sky, so then she's got the curse. But it's like after Joel dies so horribly at that beginning of that first movie, and then that just awful visual. It's like death. It's like just that crazy sound effects that this movie has. Absolutely insane sound. What is it like? It's like a horn, a train horn, warped or something, turned upside down in sound. Like the way everything else in this movie is inverted. It's all upside down and crazy. That's the only thing I can think to compare it with. I'm like, man, Joel really went out, but it's like he was such a decent dude, just like Rose was generally just a good person who wanted to help. And the thing that the entity fed on, this trauma, whatnot, really, I was of two minds at the end of the film when it has an instant flashback, another jump scare because of the way her mother's like, Rose, get that. I almost jumped that, but like, Mommy made a mistake. She knew she had OD'd, and when she's like, call for help, get the phone, call for help. And when the young Rose, a little girl, 10-year-old version, the way she like shakes her head, I was just like, just call 911, you know? So from that moment on, something in my mind just kind of changed. Not a whole lot, I'm just saying it changed a little bit. It's like, just call 911, you know? But she didn't. And it's part of what she had dealt with in the way that she lost her mom in death there. And then seeing her, this was at the beginning of the film, seeing her dead on the bed, absolutely horrible. And you know what? Time to compare it to Smile 2 again. The way Rose opens up about, for instance, to Joel, She had given him the cold shoulder at first, like, why did you even come here? He was just trying to make sure she was okay. She had witnessed the young woman knife her throat up and die horribly. He just wanted to make sure he was okay. I don't know that he was even trying to get back with her or whatever. He cared about her. And that's another thing that can be said for Joel. And the way Rose actually, she said, there are several things that speak well for Rose. How when she finally understood, having visited the psychiatric ward where the one guy who broke the curse, who deviated from the pattern, he did it by murdering somebody so that the curse would go into someone else and he would finally be free, going to have to live out his days as a convicted murderer, death row, mental patient, or all of the above, whatever, just to be free of the curse. The same situation that Joel is in at the beginning of the second movie. And when she has her little visions about killing Carl, the patient, in front of her boss, Dr. Morgan, and how horrible that was, and how it was all an illusion, but how she ultimately decided she can't do that. She had told the guy, I can't kill somebody, and she had been lying, saying it was somebody else she was talking about, and she was trying to get information from the Robert Talley, I guess was his name. Was he the... I might be looking at the wrong guy here. No, maybe he was the police. No. Yeah, I think Robert Talley, played by Rob Morgan, was the guy who had successfully gotten rid of the curse, beaten it, and didn't have the entity in his mind anymore. He's like, you've got it. Why did you come here? Man, I'm freaking out with him. I'm like, you would be the same way if you were him. It's like, get her away from me. Get her away from me. You wouldn't want none of it ever again if you could get free of it. It speaks to Rose and her character and how she can't possibly do that. So then she says, she tells Joe, I've got to face it. Even Sky in the second movie got to that point. It's like when she's telling the guy he's going to try and stop her heart. If it doesn't work, you've got to kill me, shoot me. Like she doesn't want to hurt anybody else in her life. Sky had, in her mind, even though she hadn't killed her mother, hadn't done that particular horrible thing. It speaks to how both of these characters in both of these movies got to a place they wanted to escape the bad things they had done. They were willing to change, and yet I don't know what else to say it. It's like, what should I just call it? Typical horror movie fashion. The way they just die. Some bad thing is going to happen, and they're going to die. They're going to commit suicide in front of somebody else. Nothing can beat the entity. I see people in the comments of some of the snippets of the video I've watched on YouTube where people say, "Oh man, Joel made it to 7 days. Man, he must be hard to deal with that, because the way," and I messed this up in my review of Smile 2. I thought, what is he just seeing random horrible imagery? No, that was a flashback of Rose, the woman. It was a woman on fire. That was Rose, David. Well, I didn't put two and two together from this movie just yet. That was Rose he saw, but he just kept walking. He was determined at the beginning of Smile 2 to get rid of the curse via loaning it out to some drug dealers and gangbangers. He was like, let's have this demon curse circulate amongst the population of drug dealers and murderers. That'd be an appropriate place for it in Joel's mind. And he tried, but he messed that up. He said didn't work out when the guy starts shooting at the beginning of Smile 2. This is not a proper review. Not at all. I'm looking at people on the screen here. Holly, played by Gillian Zinzer. Greg, played by Nick Arapoglu. That first dinner scene with them, I'm like, oh man, these are the most obnoxious people ever. and Rose having to cuss him out, like, how could you sell the house? We grew up in that house. So she still has this attachment to it and stuff. And the last time you even see Holly and her husband, or when you see the head dangling thing, and that's the last time you see him in the movie. And I will say this, the whole thing of, unfortunately, I knew this from a clip on YouTube, spoiled it for me. I'm like, oh, this is the part where the cat, she has killed the cat and put it in the little boy's birthday present wrapping. Like, this would have had more oomph if I hadn't seen that on YouTube already in a clip I watched one time. Like, oh great, I spoiled this for me. It seemed like that happened kind of early on in the movie, and I do not believe this is like one of those cinema sins or whatever you want to call it, movie crime, where that would not have gone down that way. She would have lost her liberty. Maybe not permanently, but she would have been in jail, or she would have been committed after that had happened. She would be under investigation by the cops if that had happened. If she had she's the suspect of giving a dead animal, her pet, to a kid for birthday, at his birthday party. And then the way she was jump scare, so cheap. That was a cheap one where the smile entity gets up, and she has her arms cut up, falling back, and then she's like, ah, in front of all those people. That to me was a little bit too over the top, horror movie whatnot early on in the movie, you might say. Even in Smile 2, I don't know. All that was really happening was Sky was falling down during her dance routines and stuff because of the reoccurring back pain. This with Rose and the cat scene, the dead cat scene, freaky as all get out. But it's like, it's not plausible. So much of this movie actually is because it's all in the mind. It's all in the mind. Other people can't see it, but she can. But that kind of thing that would affect other people like that, like halfway through the movie, not even halfway through the movie, it's like the response from outside people would have intervened, and her life wouldn't be just her in her house, her poorly lit, even at night when it's dark, house, just chilling with her fiance Trevor, played by Jesse T. Usher. He's like, how do you want me to respond to what you're saying? You're talking about ghosts. She said, I never said ghosts. She raises her voice and realizes she's getting out of hand. I'm like, man, I'm with you, guy. How are you supposed to respond to somebody who's saying these things to you? The whole thing with Dr. Madeline Norchett, she had one of those annoying personas in this, like the almost obnoxious, conceited sort of therapist, and you're like, oh man, I would hate having to deal with this person too. Not to heap too much bad on her, it's just I wasn't paying close enough attention, and this is on me, sorry. Just like in Smile 2, when Sky realizes she's been getting she's never got a text from her friend for 3 days, and yet she's been imagining her friend is with her this whole time. Did Dr. Madeline, when she called her, she says, oh, sorry I haven't gotten back with you, or is it that she hadn't talked with her at all, or just that she hadn't gotten with her that day? Because the whole thing of her smiling and walking over the county, it's almost time, Rose, and holding her up against the wall, I had seen that in a YouTube clip too, unfortunately, so I'm like, I'm kind of prepared for this one. So again, the whole movie had a little bit less impact than it would have if I had only seen this in the movie theater. That would have been great. I would much rather see this movie than, like, I don't go for a horror movie like the Terrifier. Oh no, thank you. Like Terrifier 3 was just, I can't get into that. I would never watch that in the movie theater. But this would have been a neat flick to catch even with the few problems that I have with it. So 30 minutes, and I still want to keep going. So I don't know what to say except I'm going to stop this and start it again because I want to keep talking about this. Okay, I'm going to keep on going. Maybe I will go for an hour. Who gives a care? I'm going to have to compress this file somehow so it'll actually get uploaded. Okay, just from the beginning. We meet Rose. She's a therapist. She cares. She works a lot and doesn't get a lot of sleep. She's put her whole life into this hospital and helping people with their psychological issues. 80 hours a week. That is insane. That would make me lose my mind a little bit. Maybe not go crazy, but you can't be 100% if you work that much, especially in that kind of job, dealing with people who have mental issues all the time. 2, 3, 4 weeks, if that, and then you're gonna have to slack off to considerably less hours because it's just not possible to keep up that kind of thing. Laura comes in. It's a neat effect how, again, I give him this. It's all inverted because you're dealing with. It's in keeping with the whole demon thing. It really is. Everything's upside down, and the scenery. You're watching a car go that way, and stuff like that, and it's a way elevated thing, looking down, far down, onto the ambulance as Laura's in that hospital. But no, I can't go in there. It's like she knows she's on the final stage of it, and it's so horrible. She tries to. It's hard to even think about. And she tries to explain to Rose, I'm seeing things, and there's something in me, in my mind. It's using other people. Sometimes it's a stranger. Sometimes she explains so much. All of it goes over Rose's head for the most part because it's like it's just another person with mental issues, as far as she knows. And I can't say it enough. When she says, "I'm gonna die," she doesn't even know how yet because that part hasn't happened yet, and nobody knows. And she's crying. Good acting. I believe she actually had the tear ducts activated emotionally, and that was some good acting. I'm gonna die, and nobody knows, and nobody understands or cares. And then the whole thing where she looks up, elevated, like there's some tall, foreboding thing. So good, because that's in keeping with all this junk. So horrible. Again, I would have actually been genuinely scared for Rose if I had seen this in the movie theater, especially, and hadn't watched so many little clips that I put a whole lot of stuff together beforehand. How monstrous this entity is when it's fully revealed in the mind, and the trauma just overtakes you completely. She deals with it, or tries to. It almost seems, and again, I'm comparing it to Smile 2, kind of spotty. I mean, the way she's putting it all together, especially when she goes to Joel, and then he takes it upon himself to keep researching because when she shows him what she learned about the professor who committed suicide in front of Laura. Where is that lady who was the husband of... She's not on here. Oh, Victoria Munoz, played by Judy Reyes. Okay, very good. Her reaction, I was like, well, would you really act like that? Maybe. I don't know. People just react differently. When, I guess, Rose had pretended to be an investigative reporter or something, and then when she starts asking more personal questions, like about how Victoria's husband, her professor husband, had killed himself. It's like, what kind of reporter are you? What is this? When she starts screaming, "Get the F out of my house!" What are you, some psycho, some lunatic? Because Rose needs to know how this works. She needs to know about the person who committed suicide in front of her husband. And then Joel puts it together. There have been 20 of these cases, and that's just what he has been researching. Facing her demon. Let me get to the end here. She's showing remorse the same way that Sky did in the second movie. Not wanting to hurt anybody, but also just wanting to actually let go of the problems, of the guilt of the past, over the mistakes that they had made, the way they had wronged other people in their lives. And yet, I think about this. It's a neat little thing they did, like in Smile 2, when every now and then, even though the whole thing was apparently an hour-long hallucination in this movie, Sky, when... Who was it? Was it the guy with the colored hair? He said, "Oh, well, what about the tour?" or something like that. And it's like something from the subconscious just has to get through, even though Sky had that gun and was escaping. F the tour. It's like that's what she really wanted to scream out at the world and at everybody, at her mother. This one thing. It's like one time when my dad had a light stroke, and I'm going to share this. When he's in the hospital bed, he had a light aphasia. This was back in 2016, and he was having difficulty speaking, nurses in and out. But he got so agitated that some words that were completely, and you've probably seen this from people in your own life who've had similar issues. When he was frustrated, when he was angry, my dad, all of a sudden he would say, "This is bull," S-H-I-T, and those words came out completely clear and intelligible. You could hear that. And that reminded me of that in that movie, Smile 2. When she's like, F the tour. If you only knew what I was dealing with. Forget the tour. Forget the song and dance. But back to Smile 1. Jesse T. Usher plays Trevor, and you can't blame him for just kind of disappearing at one part of the movie. And that's what I'm kind of going to complain about. It's like, it's just not... Something seems jagged and about the way things happened. If you're seeing what Rose is seeing and all these hallucinations, and she's trying to explain it to people, and she's putting it all together, nobody believes her. Because that's just the way this curse works. Nobody can see these things but you. It's just... I have a similar complaint about Smile 2. But Smile 2 was even more hardcore with just one thing after another. This one, Rose has more of a chance. She learned so much about it. And in the end, especially after the beginning of Smile 2, with Joel being dead, nobody knows anything now. And who even knows if the character Morris was even a real person in Smile 2? I'm going to get into that. I'm going to end this with a rant, unfortunately. I gotta finish Smile here. I gotta finally get my thoughts out about Smile. I've already said I would have liked to have seen this in the movie theater, but I missed out. Enjoyed the flick. Think I like... I don't know that I like Smile 2 better or not. Each one of these has their own strengths. They really do. Smile... Sosie Bacon was so good in her the range of emotions, the fear that she showed, her determination, and it's just maybe what I can't get out here. What I'm trying to say is how much I want to complain about how or why these characters died. It's like, yeah, I know this is horror. This is horror, David. Suck it up, Buttercup. But it's like, I want to know where things are going next, basically. If in Smile 3, when you have this suicide in Sky killing herself, traumatizing hundreds, thousands of people in this huge audience, with the entity going big time, you might as well have put on a top hat and did "Hello, my baby, hello, my sunshine," whatever, like in Spaceballs when the alien popped out of the guy. You might as well have danced around that stage after it killed Sky. Or made Sky kill herself. And I'm thinking, I just have no hope at all that anything different is going to happen in the third movie. I think this is, when you're watching, something that kind of aggravated me as I was watching Smile 1, having already seen Smile 2, out of order, blah, blah, blah. It is what it is. I can't do anything about that now. Is that it's like, the way this works with the hallucinations and stuff, it's like, no matter what Rose did or what Sky did in the second film, no matter how deep they're willing to maybe look inside themselves and make correction to their lives, their any kind of contrite spirit or whatever, and dealing with the guilt, and in the case of Rose, over her mother ODing, and she didn't call an ambulance as a 10-year-old, and then she has that dialogue where she's like, I was 10 years old. And there's this thing, it's like, yeah, you can't save her as a 10-year-old, but you could have called an ambulance. And she just wants to be free of the guilt. But it's like she can't be. And then there's Sky, who so horribly in her negligence got her fiance killed in an awful, awful car accident, waking up crying in the tree and all the broken leg junk. It's like no matter what they did, the entity, the curse was still gonna to end them in their lives horribly. And it's like I'm seeing the beginning of something of a trend here in these movies, and it's like I want so much for this to be something truly unique, the way it struck me as unique. This premise of a trauma-induced curse that goes from person to person. And the clever way, too clever by half in some respects, and then not so much in others, it makes it bad enough just to be annoying. And yet, at the end of the day, I'm afraid it's just a different formula for a horror franchise. And that you might have Scream, might as well be Smile 5 one day, and it's going to be nothing but a personal journey of how this latest victim hallucinates in different ways, a few jump scares, ultimately succumbs to the curse. Dead. Like in Smile 3, I think it's probably just going to probably another young woman, because that just seems to be the way they want to do this stuff. And it's like, instead of watching the Discovery Channel and the way the lion hunts its prey, this would be Peter Venkman or Lydia Yates, Beetlejuice, whatever supernatural show. Instead of watching the Discovery Channel, we're watching a documentary in these Smile movies about how the entity devours its prey and the prey never gets away. And it's just going to be the same thing every time with these movies. At least that's what I think is probably going to happen. I just saw on Google a second ago, somebody said, I forget what website, Smile 3 may really change things up. Smile 3 may go the pandemic route. And I'm like, maybe. It would at least be different. And different would be good at this point, because I'm not up for watching another Smile movie where some person just learns that they have a very, very unique problem that is going to end them in a week's time, and that the only way to get out of it is to murder somebody with a witness, or just kill themselves. Again, I've started to say that a little while ago about somebody had commented about Joel. They said maybe the entity was going a little bit easy on Joel after 6 days of having the curse. Because of the curse, the entity sensed in him the willingness to carry through on killing somebody and just passing the curse. I'm like, it's a theory, it's a thought. But the way Joel died after playing such a significant role, and he was a decent person in this story, just like Rose was somebody who wanted to help. It's like you're rooting for Rose. You care about these characters, but it just doesn't seem to be like there's any real escape from this entity. I have no idea what they could possibly do, even with a pandemic. Like, okay, we got hundreds of people who have the curse now. Even if it's just a little bit, it's like a little bit of the curse. It's like, what kind of movie would that be? It's something to think about. But I don't even think it's going to be that. I think this is just going to be another movie. Smile 3 is going to be another movie where it's just a young woman who slowly loses her mind and then dies in the end. Yeah. So that's how I'm going to end this, with a rant. In particular, it wasn't so much the case in Smile 1, like I've said. Rose was such a good detective in trying to figure out what's going on with her. She learned so much about this. But in the second film, written and directed by Parker Finn, Mr. Director, you slapped my brain around for over an hour and a half in Smile 2. It was all hallucinations. You see some hallucinations with Rose, and especially toward the end, it's like when Joel says, "I'll stay with you," well, she just wanted, you're my friend, and she breaks down, and she really says, all my life I've been afraid of people in this way, kept my guard up, but then when you were getting close to me, I felt those walls coming down, and so that's why I ran away from you. And she broke it off with him, and now she's affianced. She's got a new fiance. What's that about? Was she saying something about the way she was living her life, and why she was willing to get with Trevor but not Joel? It's something to think about. Why? Well, don't really understand that. But when she's opening up to him at the end, and it's like, I'm sorry to be so selfish, but she's just totally vulnerable at that point, Rose. Saying about what life is like for her and the way she is, and just confessing and opening up and being vulnerable and asking him, that's why I did what I did. And I really cheated you, and now I'm being selfish again because you're my friend, and I want to ask you, would you just stay with me while I sleep? So she could just enjoy sleep knowing that there's a friend nearby who would watch over her. Just a little bit of comfort, you know? And when he says, of course I'll stay. I'll stay with you forever. And then the smile comes on, and you're like, oh my goodness. None of it's real. And it didn't matter how much she was willing to face her guilt issues, basically. Her real problems inside. Emotionally, mentally, all this stuff, her history and everything. It's like, it didn't matter. All you're watching in these movies is just, there's just no, it's horror, folks, but not really expecting a happy ending. It's just some hope, basically. But they've set this up so that there is no hope at all, and it's just such a bummer. And the whole thing in the house, with the way the thing looked all gangly and giant, and that was her mother, the image of her mother, that was her guilt object in her mind. That stuff would have creeped me out of the movie theater if I'd seen it. Almost creeped me out in here. And then in Smile 2, the object of when Sky is freezing in that cool. How awful was that whole thing in Smile 2, man? Did I complain about it enough? I don't know if I have or not. When she's freezing on that table, she's just surrendered. She's going to let the guy stop my heart, do whatever you got to do to make the curse go away, to make the demon flee, neutralize it, you know? And then the guy says, he's asking her, like, why did you come around and do this? And she's opening up. She's talking about, like, her life. She had done this 2 or 3 times in the movie where she's just willing to just admit things. But it's like, when he says, all right, I have to go get something. And he goes out the door a few seconds, and she's just looking. And remember, the door automatically shuts in that freezer if it actually latches. He didn't shut it. But it's like, it was all... This is my complaint against Smile 2 in particular. Looking back into that movie, we have to assume that everything that happened from the point that Sky got the curse, when she witnessed the guy kill himself with the weight smashing his head in, it was all of it was a hallucination. It was all demon parasite manipulation of her mind. All of it. And that just left me thinking, it's like, what in the world is that? What am I watching? You're watching a horror movie, David. That's what you paid for. That's the reason I don't do much horror. And again, the thing with Sky is like, her back hurt her twice, falling down. She's blaming people. There was something I thought about as I was driving this truck, thinking about that movie. It was something that didn't add up about... It's like some things were played off as real, even amidst the hallucinations, but you don't know what the whole thing was a hallucination. Because she didn't kill her mother, and you don't know when the full hallucination started. Just like when Rose faces her demons. And I was surprised. You don't see anything like that at Smile 2. Actually set the figment of it all, the entity, on fire with that lantern. It's my mind. It's my mind. And then runs out of the house. And it's like, she goes all the way to Joel's place. She's like, whoa, what have you been up to? But it's like, she's still back in the house. She's still back in the house. When she runs away from Joel, she's running out of the house. She's back in the woods. And it's like, sometimes I was watching this thinking, what did they do? Did they film 2 different endings, alternate endings? And they didn't really know how they wanted to end this film. Something hopeful, downbeat. Which do you want? And I guess I just thought, well, we'll just do both. Forget it. We'll just do both and see what happens. See how the movie's received by the audience. And it's just like, yeah. So yeah, you were rooting for Rose, but to no avail. Rooting for Sky by the end of the second movie, to no avail. And it's like, this guy did some kind of scummy things too. It's like, when I felt offended. I'm just saying. I was like, whoa, what? And Smile 2, when the thing with with the crazy eyes, like, this isn't real. What is she trying to do? Was Sky gonna kill herself? I thought that was adrenaline, a shot of adrenaline, just shooting adrenaline into a jugular. Would that have just like woken her up? Or because I remember when she's driving with her friend, and her friend vanishes, like, I'm in control. I'm in control. All a hallucination. All a hallucination. And then when she gets with Morrison on the table, all hallucination, when the guy says, this isn't real. Break a leg out there. And then when that thing opens up that you saw earlier in the movie, Smile 2, I know I'm going back and forth in movies. It's like, okay, that's the thing you saw earlier that she was rehearsing in as part of a song and dance choreography. She's going to come out of that and do her song or whatever on stage. And you're like, what? It's time for her to perform? That was all a hallucination? Her mother isn't dead. She's right there. She's right there, smiling at her. And not an evil smile either, just, hey, it's showtime. Way to go. I was just like, this isn't cool. This is not cool at all. And I don't believe I'm crossing a line here when I say, particularly, really, it happened in Smile. Having seen the movie now, I can say it. Yeah, at the end it happened. But also, for over half the movie, it happened in Smile too. You jerked the audience around. I watched Michael King, the Choice Voice, his review/rant on Smile 2. Not before I watched it. I saw it Saturday, and then I listened to his video on YouTube as I was driving. And he was like, this whole movie is like he called it a mind F word. A mind F. And I'm like, can't really argue against that because of the constant junk in Sky's apartment. I mean, there was some creepy stuff with the choreography with the spider people. At least that's what they're all doing their weird contorted and freezing and smiling, and that was some creepy stuff. That was some good stuff. But it's like, where's the resolution? Where is this going? How do you beat the curse? I don't think... I would love to be wrong. 2 years from now, because that's probably going to be, or 2 to 3 years, whenever Smile 3 comes out. And again, I'm not even going to watch it unless it's obviously from the trailer. They got to reveal it, something in the trailer that it's going in a different course, because I'm not up for watching another movie where we're just watching another week in the life cycle of the trauma entity. I've already seen that, been there, done that, and it's like, I just feel like they did me dirty. In Smile 2 particularly, it's like over half of this movie, because it was over 2 hours long, over half of this movie didn't actually happen in the character Sky's life. I can't say it enough. It's like, not cool. Not cool. And then to end the way it did, it seems like it's not a cash grab movie. No, that's not the proper word. It's not a ripoff either. It's just, they did you dirty. It's like you did this stuff just to bring us to this particular conclusion. So maybe they will do something. Maybe that means they will do something different in Smile 3 involving a multitude of people having the curse. I'll believe it when I see it, but it's like, yeah. Anyways, I'm about to hit the 30-minute mark again, meaning I've gone on for an hour about Smile. And it seems like I've talked so much about Smile 2 that I've missed stuff about Smile 1. Creepy as all get out. This movie's just crazy. And good job on Sosie, if I'm saying her name right, Bacon, and all these actors. The opening scene in Smile 2 with Joel, unbelievable. And yeah, I want to keep talking, but I really shouldn't. I need to just shut up now. I've said enough. Till next time, folks. Thank you for listening to me, especially those of you who watched all of my ramblings about the Smile movies. We'll see you in the next video. Take care.